It is now my great pleasure to introduce your president, Lee C. Bollinger. President Bollinger has been president of Columbia since 2002. He is our first Seth Low Professor of the university, a member of the Columbia Law School faculty, and one of the country's foremost First Amendment scholars. He writes and speaks frequently about the importance of global free speech to continued social progress. He also teaches a class each fall semester that is open to undergraduates called the Freedom of Speech and Press. So I'd recommend looking into that as you're registering for classes. President Bollinger is also a prominent advocate of affirmative action. As president of the University of Michigan, he led the institution's historic litigation in 2 Supreme Court cases, Grutter v. Bollinger and Gratz v. Bollinger. These cases upheld the importance of diversity as a compelling justification for affirmative action in higher education. They were reaffirmed last year in the court's ruling in Fisher v. the University of Texas. Beyond welcoming all of you here today, this is a very exciting fall for us at Columbia as well. This past spring, we opened the first 2 buildings on our new Manhattanville campus in West Harlem. This project, conceived and led by President Bollinger, is the university's most ambitious expansion in over a century. The first 2 buildings are the Jerome L. Green Science Center and the Lenfest Center for the Arts. Jerome L. Green is home to the Mortimer B. Zuckerman Mind-Brain Behavior Institute, where the Lenfest Center boasts state-of-the-art performance, screening, and presentation spaces, as well as a new venue for Columbia's Miriam and Ira D. Wallach Art Gallery. This fall, the gallery will host its 2nd exhibition featuring the works of Frank Lloyd Wright. I encourage all of you to walk the 9 blocks up to 125th Street and Broadway to really check that out and take a look. It's an amazing space and campus and future of Columbia. Speaking of activities that get you moving beyond walking up 9 blocks, you may also have heard that President Bollinger is an active runner who is known to maintain an impressive pace. If you're all skeptical about that, you are invited to join him right here on College Walk the morning of Friday, October 13th for his annual 5K fun run through Riverside Park. Yes, put it on the calendar. But today, he is standing with us here to welcome you to Columbia. So please join me in welcoming President Bollinger to the podium.
It is a very great pleasure to welcome you, our newest students, to Columbia University in the city of New York. We truly cherish the lifelong, enduring relationship we now begin with you at this critical time in your lives and with this celebratory occasion. We also feel a deep connection with your parents and families, for whom we know this is a very poignant moment. We welcome everyone who is attending this evening. I regard it as a privilege to speak to entering students, which, to my good fortune, I have been doing for many years now. The transition from what your life has been to what it will be from this moment on could not be more profound. Not only will you be on your own, probably for the first time, and bear the primary responsibility for your life from here on out, but most importantly, you are about to become immersed in a unique and probably never to be repeated in your lifetime intellectual environment completely dedicated to advancing human knowledge and pursuing truth. There really is nothing like a great university, and I strongly believe that among the great universities in the world, there is really nothing like Columbia University. Columbia is made up of an unmatched array of intellectual talent. It is more diverse in its composition in every respect and truly believes in the virtues of diversity. It is more international and global in its sensitivities and outlook. It has a unique curriculum, notably with the core, and it resides in a national and global capital city and draws every day upon the riches of that special urban environment. Moreover, I would also say that this is the right moment to be at Columbia. The fundamentals of great scholarship and teaching are thriving, but there are also many enormously exciting initiatives underway and new experiments taking shape all the time. As Jessica just said, there's a new campus in West Harlem, Manhattanville, that is just opening, the first in over a century, as she said, with the master plan and the first buildings by the famous architect Renzo Piano. While you are here, the new campus will become populated with thousands of students, faculty, and staff. You should visit the new and acclaimed show at the Wallach Art Gallery in the Lenfest Center for the Arts, which has and features major artists from Upper Manhattan. We also have an evolving network of global centers spread all across the world that are helping our faculty and our students experience firsthand and to study the phenomena of globalization. We have new university initiatives in data science, precision medicine, and globalization. And last spring, we announced a major venture called Columbia World Projects, which is currently being designed to help make Columbia the home for bringing academic knowledge and capacities together with outside partners ranging from government to institutions of civil society to help solve significant world problems. You will hear much about this in the coming weeks and months, including several opening projects. These are all just a few of the activities that may attract and engage your interest while you're here. I can assure you that there is enough here going on at Columbia to make you as breathless as the city itself. Which leads me to a comment about you personally. It is easy, very easy, in fact, to feel utterly overwhelmed by all of this, your studies, happenings at the university, and the city. It is exhilarating, but it can also be stressful and highly so. Please know two things. First, we all feel the intensity of life here, more or less. You are not alone. And second, and most of all, we are here to help. From friends to faculty to professional staff, we all have a role to play in helping one another work through issues, no matter how large or how small, and to get the most out of this extraordinary experiences offered here. So let us help. Everyone is easily reachable, including me, so do reach out, and we promise we will respond. Just a moment ago, I spoke about the privilege of welcoming new students. It is a time to think about and speak to the combination of a student's new life in a university and its relation to the great issues of the day. There are, of course, always critically important issues on the horizon, and drawing attention to them can help one see one's education in a larger context. But I have to say that this moment feels different, more portentous, more fraught with basic uncertainties about basic matters than at any recent time I can remember. This is true both in the United States and across the world. As authoritarian regimes and attitudes are on the rise, and democracies and multilateralism among nations appear to be in decline. All this seems to have come on suddenly, and our lack of preparation is revealed as we experience one shock after another. I do not wish to be political or partisan here. The university, as such, must remain a neutral institution on matters of political debate. Generally speaking, we have no official university position on trade, on tax, or on health policies. But this does not mean that the university has no stake in anything outside these gates, or no legitimate interest in being a participant in the society beyond our research and teaching. This is a complex matter, to be sure, and beyond the scope of this talk. But I would say this: when the university is faced with the potential breakdown of the societal conditions that make possible what we do, loss of respect for facts, truth, reason, or loss of respect for fundamental values such as freedom of speech and press and the rule of law, or the loss of respect for the rights of individuals and groups to be protected against invidious discrimination, then the university has both the right and the responsibility to speak out and even to act. Has both the right and the responsibility to speak out and even to act to bring about change. The recent highly disturbing events in Charlottesville, Virginia, and at the University of Virginia, and the subsequent characterization of those events by the administration, are among the most recent episodes indicating this breakdown. There is no question extremist groups in America and elsewhere are feeling empowered. And this has only added to that dangerous sense of empowerment. Many citizens and groups among us are experiencing a greater sense of vulnerability these days because of verbal attacks, because of new policies such as those regarding immigration, and because of silences when hatred and prejudice manifest itself. From the standpoint of freedom of speech, there is a slow process of degradation happening. The First Amendment is relatively young, having only been formulated as we know it today over the past century. Beginning about 50 years ago, the Supreme Court, in a series of decisions, established a degree of protection for speech beyond any seen before or since in any society. So, with some conditions, speech of the Klan, of neo-Nazis, and of white supremacists is protected, even though their messages are evil. This posture is not self-evidently right. It is certainly contestable. But it is one born of painful experience and one around which there has emerged a supportive consensus from both the liberal and conservative wings of the American political and legal system. There are many rationales supporting this approach. For me, it is a remarkable effort by the nation, one widely praised and influential around the world, to practice extraordinary tolerance in order to highlight and to address a broad need across all social interactions to be more open to differences than we are naturally inclined to be. But whatever the rationale, the entire system we have built up over a century critically depends upon judges and leaders condemning the content of the speech at the same time we insist on protecting or tolerating it. Any ambiguity about how the society thinks about these messages undermines what is supposed to be an act of toleration, of magnanimity, not respect. Until now, such condemnation has always occurred. The point is that there are many ways in which this most recent episode in Charlottesville threatens core values and systems in the nation. Now, the important question for us here tonight is, what does this mean for you as you enter your studies at Columbia? And my answer to that question is that it makes you and your education here even more important, more vital to the future of this country and the world than I have felt in a very long time. I hope and expect that you will very quickly discover that what you are learning here is not just some abstractions or theories or ideas about which great minds long ago have worked on and worked out, and which you and we can take for granted and move on. These ideas, and more importantly, the intellectual process and scholarly temperament by which you will grapple with these ideas, are absolutely and inherently very much alive and well, or not so well, today. In other words, what all this means is that your studies here and now are going to be as meaningful and as deadly serious as life ever gets. Let me close with a word about freedom of speech on the campus. Over the past year, especially, there have been many high-profile instances of speech being denied on college campuses because the speech was deemed offensive, or because of feared disruptions, or even potential violence, or because there wasn't a wish to avoid controversy. Here at Columbia, which is a private institution and therefore not covered by the constitutional right of free speech, the First Amendment only applies to state action, which includes state but not private universities. But we, like most other colleges and universities, have voluntarily embraced for ourselves the general framework of First Amendment jurisprudence. It is, of course, much more complicated than that statement might imply, but the essential elements are true, and these. We, like the broader society, have a public forum in which our students and faculty speak out and about public issues and often invite outside speakers in. Outside speakers have no right, as it were, to use our campus absent an invitation, and I would not hesitate to deny an independent request to do so under various conditions. But like the First Amendment itself, the scope of ideas that can be expressed here by students and faculty and invited guests is very, very wide and encompasses many viewpoints and perspectives that certainly I, at least, regard as deeply offensive, dangerous, or wrong-headed. Our choice has been and is to deal with that disagreement by means other than stopping the speech from occurring, which primarily means by accepting our responsibility to confront speech we dislike and to state our reasons for rejecting it. It is my It is my, and it is our, job to see that this system is preserved and operates in the most productive way possible. I have been thinking a great deal about you and what you might be thinking at this moment. I am confident in this university, just as I am in the nation and our institutions, that we will make it possible for you to start your lives on a secure foundation of the values and practices we both treasure and on which we have prospered. Certainly, we have much work to do, even if it is more than we might have expected. But it is a genuine pleasure to think of doing it with you. Congratulations on making this transition in your lives, and welcome to Columbia University.